Hello, 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 everyone, and how are you all doing today? I hope that you're all doing very, very well. You see, today is a very, very special day because Lafayette Ronald Hubbard was born on March 13th of 1911. And I think we should be celebrating it today. So for those that don't know who that is, he is known as L Ron Hubbard. He's an American author. He was the primarily of science fiction. He basically did like sci-fi stories, fantasy stories, that kind of thing. But he is best known, of course, for founding the Church of Scientology. In 1950, he authored a book that was called Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health, and he established a series of organizations to promote this thing, which is basically what this religion is based off of, or this cult, as we like to call it here. In 1952, he lost the rights to Dianetics in bankruptcy proceedings, and he subsequently founded Scientology, which again is just basically Dianetics. Thereafter, Hubbard oversaw the growth of the church into the wonderful worldwide organization that we know it to be today. Yes, he sold a number of his sci-fi stories, and that included his old Doc Methuselah, I don't know how to say that word, series, and the serialized novels, which were called The End Is Not Yet, and the other one called To the Stars. Okay? However, he remained short of money, and his son, L Ron Hubbard Jr., who we will be hearing a little bit from today, testified later that Hubbard was dependent on his own father and Margaret's parents for money and his writings, which he was paid at a penny per word, never garnered him any more than $10,000 prior to the founding of Scientology. So he wasn't actually that big of a sci-fi author as he seemed to be. At least he wasn't making the money. He repeatedly wrote to the Veterans Administration asking for an increase in his war pension because he was a veteran. He was also really, really nuts. In October of 1947, he wrote to request psychiatric treatment. Cannot talk today. He actually wrote the VA, and he said, after trying and failing for 2 years to regain my equilibrium in civil life, I am utterly unable to approach anything like my own competence. My last physician informed me that it might be very helpful if I were to be examined and perhaps treated psychiatrically or even by a psychoanalyst. Toward the end of my service, I avoided, out of pride, any mental examinations, hoping that time would balance a mind which I had every reason to suppose was seriously affected. I cannot account for nor rise above long periods of moronescences and suicidal inclinations, and have newly come to realize that I must first triumph above this before I can hope to rehabilitate myself at all. I cannot myself afford such treatment. Would you please help me? And the VA eventually did increase his pension, but his money problems seemed to continue. On August 34th, or 31st, sorry, there is no such thing as August 34th, Queen, 1948, he was arrested in San Luis Obispo, California. Everyone in California hates me now because I said that wrong, and subsequently pleaded guilty to a charge of petty theft. So he was also a thief, for which he was ordered to pay a $25 fine, which in 2021, that was about $300. So, today it'd be like $325 or something. It is said L Ron, well, I guess not with inflation, maybe it'd be more like $900. It's said that L Ron Hubbard was never a man of wealth again, even though he went on to create one of the largest cult organizations in the world, which of course is Scientology. He never actually did make a lot of money from his books or anything else that he did in his life, of course, not from being a veteran or anything else. On January 17th of 1986, L Ron Hubbard suffered a stroke and died a week later on January 24th of 1986. His body was cremated and the ashes were scattered at sea. Scientology leaders announced that his body had become an impediment to his work and that he had decided to drop his body to continue his research on another planet, having learned how to do it without a body, which of course is the ultimate goal, as we will get into in a little while. The church is now run by a man named David Miscavige. But today, I, of course, want to take a closer look at L Ron Hubbard because I really want to celebrate his birthday. So happy birthday, Ron, and let's get into this.
In fact, I have studied 21 different primitive races, including the white race. Were that man, regardless of his state of culture and so forth, was essentially the same. When I first entered a university, I took science and mathematics. I was forced to take this rather than philosophy, which was my natural bent. And I learned the rules of logic and the scientific approach. These things, by the way, are not generally known to philosophers. And my first effort was to find a common denominator to all men. And I had seen him in his more primitive states, and I'd seen him in his highly cultured states. And I said, somewhere one can isolate a common denominator that embraces all men. And perhaps from that we can unlock this riddle.
Yeah, so I'm just going to take a moment and say hello to everyone. Hello, Joe. No Eck today. I know. The last time I clickbaited everyone about Scientology to talk about Eck. Today we are actually talking about Scientology because it is L Ron Hubbard's birthday today. So I guess we celebrate that or something. I don't know. Hello, Six Drops. Good to see you. I'm glad you can make it. We also have Southern Fried the Alcoholic here, which sounds like just a really fun name. That's all I got to say about that. Of course, Tiny Dinger Condoms, which we have some Easter ads coming up very, very soon. Don't you worry. Today, I wanted to come on and just, have a little bit of fun, talk about L Ron Hubbard a bit, talk about Scientology. It is his birthday. And one thing that everyone kept sending me this year for some reason, they've never sent it to me past years, but I appreciate all of you this year, is everyone was pretty upset with the fact that Scientology still does Super Bowl commercials. They pay for Super Bowl commercials every single time. And so I thought that we would start this off, other than what I've already rambled on about, giving a little bit of like a background on who L Ron Hubbard is, just in case you don't know. Yes, money, money, money. And whatnot, is I thought that we could watch the Scientology Super Bowl commercial. I sped it up a little bit. Hopefully they don't copy claim me. And it's just over a minute and 20 seconds long, but this is from this year. A lot of people, when I'm talking about things like Scientology, for some reason, they seem to think that when like Leah Remini left, like it shut down or something. No, still going strong, still big cult, still runs our world. I like to joke often that we don't actually have the Illuminati out here. It's Scientology that runs Hollywood and all of the elites. So I find it very interesting to look at their Super Bowl commercial because to me, this entire thing is propaganda. And I want you to let me know if you agree with me. So without further ado, here it is.
If you think that all is lost, that every dream has faded, that the last light of hope is gone, think again. It's there within you, something that can never die.
You can live again.
The power
Live again.
to rise, to create, to live again.
You can live again. You can live again. You can stand on your own 2 feet. You can rise up from any defeat. You can live.
Because nothing is more powerful than you.
Yeah, obviously, I've also mirrored it so that, I could play it. But as you can see, it's extremely, extremely manipulative. Basically, they show a bunch of people struggling and then they go, oh, look it, you can save yourself. How do you do that? By doing the personal development courses that good old Scientology wants you to do. Hold on, this is the ad they used on the cable station I was watching for the channel. Yes, it probably is. I'm sure that after they, had it put on the Super Bowl, they probably want to use it for anything that they can use it for now as propaganda to get more people to join in. It's just kind of funny, though, that it does play on the actual, Scientology channel, because it's like, hopefully, if you're watching that channel, you're already in Scientology, so you don't need the propaganda ad. But, maybe that's just me. I don't know. Maybe it's for those that are realizing that Xenu isn't real. Speaking of Xenu, I thought it would be fun if we just took a little dive into this amazing video. They've put out a new video on their website this year. I believe it was within the last month or so. So as you guys know, I did the personality test and I have done a couple other deep dives on Scientology in the past. And I check in with their website. The other day I was researching for this stream, just grabbing some last minute things. And it was pretty late at night. It was probably just after midnight or something around there. And as I was researching, all of a sudden I got an email from Scientology that popped up and I was like, are they watching me? Do they know what I'm doing right now? Do they know that I'm looking them up? Probably not, but they're a creepy place. There are a lot of stories of people that have left the cult that have been harassed, followed, stalked, had all kinds of awful things happen to them. And so the fact that this thing still exists bothers me. The fact that it still makes propaganda bothers me. But then I was like, all of this, the Super Bowl, everything. And now we have this amazing so-called movie, which is basically going to get into the whole story of Scientology with us. So, it's a little bit of a view. It's not that long at all. We'll probably be able to get through it just fine. But what they did, you thought the webcam was broken. So what they did is they did a lot of promotion for this. So they have this amazing ad for it that they posted up on their website, that they posted up on their channel, that they posted up all over the place to promote the video. So what I did is I pieced it together and I got the ad for us and then I got the amazing video. And we're going to be reacting to that right now.
A Scientology Network exclusive. From his timeless discoveries on the mind, spirit, and life comes L Ron Hubbard's revealing essay on the philosophy that launched a worldwide movement. Discover the truth and the forces determined to stop it. Don't miss L Ron Hubbard Library Presents, only on Scientology Network.
So yeah, that was the awesome, amazing commercial. That's it. They, of course, they put it all over their channel. Like I said, they put it on the website. They put it on the network. Yeah, I guess when you are in Scientology, like Joe pointed out, you have an entire network to watch, just like when you're in Beachbody and you have to buy Beachbody on demand. You know, it's the same sort of thing. You got to buy Scientology network on demand. Lovely, right? Wonderful. Wonderful. Are you excited? The true story of Scientology. Written by L Ron Hubbard. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. You're dead and you deserve it. And fuck you too. Sorry, I not a fan. But yes, this is his account. Of course, everything though over here was written by L Ron Hubbard. I mean, let's be real. This entire religious cult is based off of his goddamn Dianetic sci-fi book. Literally. He was like, oh, look, I wrote a sci-fi book. It's really interesting and really intrusive with all these worlds and everything and these characters. I know what I'll do. I'll go open up a religion so that I don't have to pay for taxes. And then I'll control a bunch of people and say that it's real. Literally. That's what it was.
The true story of Scientology is simple, concise,
Okay.
and direct.
Give it to us.
It is quickly told. 1. A philosopher developed a philosophy about life and death.
All right, number 1. A philosopher developed a philosophy about life and death. I just want to point out that philosopher is L Ron Hubbard, and he was not at all a philosopher. He was a sci-fi writer that apparently didn't even really make that much money off of his book. So, I mean, was he that great of a writer on this thing? So, in that case, I could just sit here and develop any kind of philosophy about life and death. I could be like, when we die, we all get taken up into the sky by unicorns, and they spray pixie dust on us. And then be like, yeah, that's what it is. And we have to live and pray to the unicorn gods, which hopefully is not Ash Mufara. So, like, and then what? People would just come in and worship it. I feel like you need to do more than that if you're going to actually develop a philosophy. It has to be based on some kind of truth, some kind of fact, some kind of science. Some actual philosophy, you know? Not just make believe in your head.
2. People find it interesting.
Oh,
3.
yeah.
People find it works.
And I was with you on the people find it interesting. I was like, yes, I do find it interesting, just probably not in the way you meant. And people find it works. The people in this are indoctrinated and brainwashed over a very slow process where they just think they're coming in to like learn a little bit about themselves. Like they send you an email and they say, hey, we have this personality test. Want to do a personality test? Back in the 90s, that shit was like so popular. Everyone was doing those, right? Do a personality test. So you do a personality test, right? I did it with you guys. You guys watched me do it. I did the whole thing. And then they send you like, you know, your results, which basically your results are just an outline of your strengths and your weaknesses according to the test. And then what you could gain out of Scientology in order to fix these things. Or in the case of like strengths, in order to like be able to do something good with your life with these strengths, you know? And like that, then after that, they just continuously tell you to read books, join these courses, do all this stuff, and then believe in this weird religion. But it's over a period of time. No one ever joins something like, oh yes, I can't wait to join a cult. I really want to join one today. It's a gradual thing. People don't know that they're in a cult, right? Again, they think that they're just following this great philosophy or sci-fi writer.
4. People pass it along to others. 5. It grows.
I wish it didn't grow. I wish we could have stopped it.
When we examine this extremely accurate and very brief account, we see that there must be in our civilization some very disturbing elements for anything else to be believed about Scientology.
What? So if we believe anything else about Scientology other than what you just said, then that equates to there being awful things in our world? What if Scientology is the awful thing in our world, sir? Joe says you can pass it along just like VD. And it would make me feel just as great, I'm sure.
These disturbing elements are the merchants of chaos. They deal in confusion and upset. Their daily bread is made by creating chaos.
No, I don't make any money. Donate to me today. I make no money. I do this all for free. I do this for fun. I make pennies. I speak out against cults because they're very, very dangerous. And the more people we have speaking out against them and raising awareness and education and helping people out of them, the better. We don't have enough. We really don't. So that's why I don't know how it would be destructive. I mean, I guess if you believe in this religion, you could see somebody trying to get you out of it as being destructive. But you know what? You tell us how we're destructing you some more.
If chaos were to lessen, so would their incomes.
Actually, you know the truth? My income does better when there's no chaos at all over here. People are always like, Queen needs drama on her channel for views. I'm like, do you not realize that, if I do a drama video, it might get 1K views in a few days, yeah. And then it stops. And then it never grows again because within 2 weeks, everyone's moved on to the next thing. No one gives a fuck. And then after that, I'm lucky if it gets like a couple of views a month or something, right? Whereas when I do a stream like this, even if it doesn't get all of that many views right at first, this kind of stream is something that even in 3 years from now, this information is relevant. No matter what, this is who ran the cult. No matter what, it's his birthday today. No matter what, this is the story. This is the movie they've put out. And a lot of people are going to want to, in like 10 years from now, dive back and maybe see what some of us had to say about it back then, and etc. I think that right now is a great time for people to be out here speaking out about things like that for that reason. Right now, we have technology at our fingertips and like more so than ever before. So if we are all speaking out against something like this in like 10, 20 years down the line, no matter what happens, hopefully this will be out in the world in 50, 60 years from now. I hope that somebody comes across my YouTube video talking about this today, and maybe it will help them, or maybe it'll just be for their research purposes. I don't care what it's for, as long as they get something out of it, even if it's to laugh at me. You know what I mean? So it's always funny to me whenever somebody says something like, oh, they need chaos. It's not whatever it's a big thing when you're speaking out against anything, right? To have the other side always go, oh, yeah, they just want chaos. They just want drama, blah, blah, blah. They need it for their stuff. But no, actually, I like having a calm time.
The politician, the reporter, the medico, the drug manufacturer, the militarist, and arms.
It's funny that he says a militarist, like, because, like I just said to you guys at the beginning of this, L Ron Hubbard was a veteran. Just, bringing that up again.
Manufacturer, the police, and the undertaker, to name the leaders of the list, fatten only upon the dangerous environment. Even individuals and family members can be merchants of chaos.
Oh, there it is. We have to also isolate you from your friends and family members if you're going to be around here, because, they might be worried about you and tell you to leave. Why they're not using any of those celebrities that brag about their Scientology in these ads? Do you know what? They should, right? They should have John Travolta and Tom Cruise come out with Oprah and do an ad. That might get some people to sign up. I'd almost rather see that and see like Tom Cruise jumping on Oprah's couch again. And then we can have John Travolta singing like Grease Lightning in the back or something than whatever that ad was that we saw at the beginning, right? That was just basically just propaganda. It sounded like a robot. It was so like, ugh, I hate propaganda. I hate it. Burn it all!
It is to their interest to make the environment seem as threatening as possible, for only then can they profit.
I have a question. How are family... I like how they keep bringing up profits, but then they brought up the fact that like family members and friends might be negative because they're kind of setting up for like, if you're in this thing and your friends or family are like, hey, this is a cult. Like, are you sure you want to join Scientology, right? All of the cults and all of the like scammy cults, MLMs do it. They all do this. It's like they give you the defense, right? Before it even happens. They prepare you. They're like, listen, you being in this thing, your friends and family are going to hate it. But really, it's not like, don't pay attention to them. They're not worried about you. No. They're just being negative and they don't want you to succeed. So tell them to fuck off. Cut ties if you have to. Never talk to them again. And then stay here in Scientology, right? So they just kind of like went on that little rant about how like even friends and family, and then they're like, but everyone that speaks out or tells you not to do this wants money. Like, what money are your friends and family getting from this? None. If you're in something like this and you have friends and family that are actually like reaching out to you, please at least listen to them. Please do not cut them off. Those are people that actually love and care about you, and they are worried about your well-being. And if you are a family member of somebody or a friend of somebody that is in something like this, whether it's Scientology, a cult like Ek, or anything like that, whether it's an MLM, anything like that, the worst thing you can do as a friend or family member is let them cut off contact. I don't care if you have to claw your way to their door to say hello. Try your best to stay in contact. That's the best thing you can do. You might not be able to get them out, but what you can do is let them know that you're a support to them and that you'll be there when they're ready. They need someone to fall back on. Trust me, it's very lonely when you leave things like this and then you got no one.
Their incomes, force, and power rise in direct ratio to the amount of threat they can inject into the surroundings of the people.
Yes, everyone's just sitting around going, how do I stop Scientology? I can't wait to just make everyone scared.
With that threat, they can extort revenue, appropriations, heighten circulations, and recompense without question. These are the merchants of chaos. If they did not generate it,
Guys, I think Scientology might be starting the New World Order. I got my fellow lizard people with me here.
and buy and sell it, they would, they suppose, be poor.
Right?
For instance, we
Like
speak
L Ron
loosely
Hubbard?
of good press. Is there any such thing today?
No.
Look over a newspaper. Is there anything
For example, I would have considered your ad to be propaganda. So technically that was press, according to you. This is press. This is like the Scientology news network, if you will. I know they just call it the Scientology network, but basically that's what it is, right? It's just pumping out Scientology propaganda and then basically like their news, if you will. They like have a little bit of that on there. It's really strange. But yeah, like that's all that whole channel is. Wouldn't trust that either. Fake news. Fake news.
Good on the front page. Rather, there is murder and sudden death, disagreement and catastrophe. And even that, bad as it is sensationalized to make it seem worse. This is the cold-blooded manufacture of a dangerous environment. People do not need this.
Okay. I mean, yeah, our whole world, very, very dangerous environment. For real. That's a real thing. I don't know how signing up for a cult and handing them all of my money and possessions and then doing these classes with them is going to help save the world or save humanity at all. Anyway, maybe we're just too early in the movie.
And if they did, they need the facts, not the upset. But if you hit a person hard enough, he can be made to give up.
Hey guys, look, if you join Scientology, then you won't get robbed on the street. Look at that. Works like pepper spray. Works like pepper spray. Hurts like a taser.
Money. That's the basic formula of extortion. That's the way papers are sold. The impact makes them stick. A paper has to have chaos and confusion. A news story has to have conflict, they say. So there is no good press. There is only bad press about everything.
It's actually kind of funny because I know here in Canada, like probably the most factual way to get the news is from a newspaper. Like, I don't know if it's the same everywhere, but like here with the writing styles and everything, that the way that they're written, you're only supposed to be putting like facts and then like interview and things like that. So like within the very first paragraph, you get the date, the place, what happened, like everything. So it's kind of making me laugh. Maybe it's just a Canadian thing. I don't know though. Like I said, that they're like showing a bunch of people sitting in a cafe, like reading through newspapers, talking about how that's like fake news. Like, am I supposed to be watching the Scientology network instead? Because I would much rather go and watch CNN and then go jump off a bridge. Because those two things will have to happen simultaneously.
To yearn for good press is foolhardy in a society where the merchants of chaos reign.
The merchants of chaos. I'm getting a lot of really cool nicknames since I've been covering these scams. You know, like bimbos, whore, crazy, merchant of chaos. I like it.
Look what has to be done to the true story of Scientology in order to make it a news story by modern.
I haven't like heard anything. Okay, this whole fucking video is supposed to be the story of Scientology. And all I've heard is propaganda about how we should listen to all the other propaganda. That's what I feel like I'm listening to. They're like, we're propaganda, but don't listen to all the other ones either, okay? Just come join our cult. And I'm kind of like, yeah, what did you have to do? Make a whole video about how everything else sucks except for Scientology? Because that's all there is. So far, I haven't learned anything about it.
Modern press standards.
Other than they hate everyone.
Conflict must be injected where there is none. Therefore, the press has to dream up upset and conflict. Let us take the first line. How does one make conflict out of it? 1. A philosopher develops a philosophy about life and death.
Okay. Are we getting into like how this happened now with good old Ronnie?
The chaos merchant has to inject one of several possible conflicts here. He is not a philosopher, they have to assert.
L Ron Hubbard wasn't a fucking philosopher either. He was a sci-fi writer. So
They are never quite bold enough to say it is not a religious philosophy. But they can and do go on endlessly as their purpose compels them in an effort to invalidate the identity of the person developing it. In actual fact, the developer of the
did I miss something? Did like 500 people come and speak out about Scientology recently, and I just like missed it? Because they're acting like they're very, very scared. They really are. They're acting like they're doing like a PR stunt right now, damage control, which I just love, by the way. Like if they're having to do damage control in a PR stunt, I am all here for it. I am here to just eating it right up, just eating it up. But it's bizarre. It's bizarre. I'm like, why are we doing this? Sorry. Good news doesn't sell. I mean, like, here's the thing. Is he necessarily wrong when he says certain things? Because I think that's important to talk about too, right? You know, you gotta talk about the truth in it, and as well as the fucking lies. So he's not 100% wrong in the fact that yes, our world is chaotic. Yes, our world is a hot fucking mess. Okay, it's shit. I'm waiting for the US to get us all blowing up soon with atomic bombs, and we're all gonna get nuked. Russia's coming. Who cares? Okay, so the world sucks. But the whole thing is, that's not because they're acting like this is a us versus them mentality. The world sucks because not everyone is in Scientology. Like they're acting like the world sucks, but only to everybody else. Everyone on the outside of Scientology, it sucks for. Everybody in Scientology, just perfect life. Right? And their whole point is the world sucks. And the news has to, like, you know, fluff up their pieces a bit, which that is also a bit true, right? We have found fake news. I know everyone goes, oh, Trump says fake news. No, no. I'm Canadian. I don't care. There is fake news. We've literally caught news stations setting up fake stories. Like, just because it's the conservatives that bring that up doesn't mean that you can just be like, la, 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 la. It's happened. So can we trust our news? No. And that's why I feel like we are seeing a lot of people kind of like regressing back in society. Because right now, nobody trusts the news. Nobody trusts the government. Nobody trusts the doctors. Nobody trusts anything. So everyone's just using Google and it's creating a problem. But it's like, again, what are they going to then do to make that better? Because if the only answer is join Scientology today and give us all your money and be in a cult, are they actually combating the problem, or are they just creating this like fluff piece fucking propaganda of the outside world's really scary out there, kiddos? There's a lot of chaos and war. Yep, no, it's awful. In the news, they talk bad about us, but you know, you come hang out with us and you'll be just fine. Because that's not going to do anything. Again, I want an actual solution. So it's like they speak little bits of truth, right? Because they want people to like relate to it and go, oh yes, the news is fucking fake news. Woo! Trump, rah! Or whatever. And then go, oh, well, this place is now saying that. So they must be the truth tellers. Because that's what people do out here. And for some reason, especially in the past several years, we've gotten in this weird loop since like 2015, okay? With the election and everything that the states did. The US destroy everything for us. Oops, I didn't say that out loud. So, where we've been like not trusting anything, right? And then we're doing this weird thing where we're all looking for the truth seekers. We're looking for the ones that are speaking out against the bad. We're looking for the ones that are speaking out against the fake news, speaking out against all the extremism, even speaking out against racism and for human rights and all this stuff. We keep looking for things like this. And I don't know if there is anyone that we could actually trust, like a government or, you know, the news or anything like that. So they're using that to like prey on people. I don't want people out there to hear that and go, oh, These are the truth seekers. I mean, if you want to pray to an alien named Xenu, yeah.
Philosophy was very well grounded in academic subjects and the humanities. Probably better
We're going to get into the science of Scientology in a minute. You hold that thought, sir.
grounded in formal philosophy alone than teachers of philosophy in universities. The one-man effort is incredible in terms of study and research hours, and is a record never approached in living memory. But this would not be considered newsworthy. To write the simple fact.
Okay, so wait a minute. Is your point? I'm really trying to find it. Other than just join Scientology, L Ron Hubbard good, rest of the world bad. Is your point then that the media and the news outlets and the government are bad because good old hubby here came up with Dianetics and Scientology and created like a religion with it, and it basically didn't like break the news stations and the internet? Everyone wasn't like, it's the new Christianity. And so then that means that it must have been like from the news and the outside people on the outside of the cult. They're the ones that are stopping it, right? From growing and from getting popular. Did you ever think that maybe the people that would have pumped it up went to, and then they were like, who the fuck is Xenu? And then they threw it in the garbage? I mean, it could have been that. I'm just saying, that might have been it.
The fact that a philosopher had developed a philosophy is not newspaper-type news, and it would not disturb the environment.
See, the funny thing is that it actually really isn't. Like, let's really talk about what is a philosophy. It's just like a thought of something that could be true, like of something that could be happening, right? I mean, technically, the bare minimum of what a philosophy is. No, it wouldn't. You would need to come up with some miraculous discovery in order for that to happen, especially in the last like several decades. Because, we've already found out a bunch of shit now. The world's moving fast. Like, we're finding out a lot of stuff really quickly now. So if you want to get noticed for like having a new philosophy or even finding a new science or something, you better do a real good job and really, really find something. People are finding dinosaurs and we're not hearing about it because there's just been so many found at this point that unless it's like something that we've never heard of before, then it makes the news, right? So it's like the same with philosophies. Like, it better be a damn good one. And guess what? Dianetics, not it.
Hence the elaborate news fictions about one above. Then take the second part of the true story. People find it interesting.
I would like a list of names other than like, Tom Cruise and Oprah and John Travolta and shit.
It would be very odd if they didn't, as everyone asks these questions of himself and looks for the answers to his own beingness.
To his own beingness? Okay.
The basic truth of the answers is
Beans!
observable in the conclusions of Scientology. However, to make this news, it has to be made disturbing. People are painted
Why?
as kidnapped or hypnotized and dragged as unwilling victims up to read the books or listen. The chaos
That's never been said. I don't remember people being like, I was in my house, and then all of a sudden, David Miscavige and a bunch of guys in white coats came and grabbed me, and they dragged me down to the Scientology Center. I was kicking and screaming. My family was trying to save me, and they sat me down in a chair, and they were like, listen, you're going to start fucking praying to Xenu, bitch, or else we're going to take your house. I don't remember anyone ever saying that. Ever. But I do know that when you're in it, once you're in it, if you try to leave, you'll get death threats. You'll have people breaking into your house. You'll have people trying to break into your bank account. You'll have people actually like following you around. You know? Mama Chan says, the Scientology church in my city called our bank wanting to invest money quite a few years ago. I spun some bullshit story that got rid of them. Wish I could remember what it was because I was quite proud. Yeah, and do you know what? It must have been a real good story. Because you know, they're a lot like Jehovah Witnesses. Honestly. Like they do not go away. They do not go away. And I swear to God, they are like just sending out the same do the personality quiz email over and over again to me. I'm like, I already did it. Stop sending this to me.
Merchant leaves 3. People find it works very thoroughly alone.
People find it works very thoroughly alone. Okay.
It is dangerous ground for him. No hint of workability would ever be attached to Scientology by the press. Although there is no doubt in the press mind that it does work.
Okay, here's the thing. And can I just ask, if it worked, why is this a big conspiracy? This is just like if the fucking world was flat, why is everyone hiding it from? It's the same thing over here. Like, if Scientology was the answer and it was all the truth, and that's what we should all be doing, and like other people knew this, but they just wanted to shut it up or whatever, like, why? If it actually was this amazing thing and it was the answer, more people would probably be spreading it around. I'm just saying. Yes, they do. They have for a long time. It will depend though. On Joe's, it's channel 1569 on his cable. I know that I found it on some of the streaming apps. I know it was in one of my streaming apps once. Oh, those same one that had the BN Sports. I was like, hey, we got Scientology and BN Sports with Hot Passive here. Excuse me. But yeah, so it might be different for everyone what the station is, but you should be able to pick it up. I mean, we get one here in Canada. So I'm assuming everybody has the Scientology network. And yeah, like it's a creepy thing. And this is what they play. This is an example of their movie. So, you know, like me and my friends we had a movie Discord night the other day. Okay, where we just all like watched a movie together on Discord. Like normal movie. These people, they would like sit and watch this. Like, hey, let's go watch a movie. Okay, let's watch The True Story of Scientology tonight. Okay. Like, get the popcorn. Like, it's very strange.
That's why it's dangerous.
See that? And that's why it's dangerous. Yep. It normalizes this bizarre cultiness and this constant, like we talk all the time. You can't just have constant repetitive information being fed to you like this. This type of propaganda just constantly. Of course, you're going to end up indoctrinated. You're going to go insane. I would hate to even be in this thing, by the way, and then have to watch this fucking network all day. That would drive me nuts.
It calms the environment. So, any time spent trying to convince press Scientology works is time spent upsetting a reporter. On 4, people pass it along to others. Press
I feel like they said that like they liked to upset the reporters. Was that just me?
feels betrayed. Nobody should believe anything they don't read in the papers. How dare word of mouth exist?
Oh, that's a dangerous thing to say. Okay, so it's not just that. It's not like the whole like read what's in papers and all this stuff. Okay, no. The whole word of mouth thing. No. That's not it. It's are these guys living in like 1979 too? Because like the internet has been around for a long time, and I feel like they like haven't figured that out yet. They keep talking about like newspapers and news stations. I'm like, yo, what about the internet? You know, that thing that everyone's using to like look stuff up, like research, you know? Maybe you should do some of that before you go spreading things around. Just a thought. Just a thought. I feel like they need to take that into consideration, considering they posted this on their website.
So to try to stop people from listening,
Uh-huh.
the chaos merchant has to use words like cult. That's a closed group.
No. No. Don't do that, Scientology. That's not what it is at all. A cult is actually not a closed group. No, no, no. MLMs will sign up everyone. Yeah, and they're pyramid scheme cults. There are tons of cults of personalities, even out here on the tubes. Open communities want as many people to join them as possible. It's not a closed off group at all. Not anymore. This is from this year, damn it.
Whereas Scientology is the most open group on earth to anyone. And they have to attack
Well, I don't know. Harold Clip might get mad at that because he's like, listen, you don't even have to change your religion to join my cult of Ekankar, okay?
organizations and their people to try to keep people out of Scientology. Now, as for
Nobody is out here actually like, you know what, Scientology is really, really good. We should keep people out of it. Like, I feel like that's what they're trying to say. It's like, no, that's not what's happening here.
5, it grows.
It grows.
We have the true
Like Joe said, like VD,
objection.
like the coronavirus,
As truth goes forward,
like the flu.
lies die. The slaughter of lies is an act that takes bread from the mouth of a chaos merchant.
Oh, awesome. That's what I feel like I'm doing right now to you guys. Huh? Who's the chaos merchants now, huh?
Unless he can lie with wild abandon about how bad it all is, he thinks
No one has to lie. Have you ever heard Leo Ramini talk about this thing? Yeah. Yeah. There have been people that have like actually had to like come and try to save their family members out of this shit.
he will starve. The world simply must not be a better place, according to
I'm just gonna let you know right now, Scientology is not the only cult. There is no person sitting around going, damn it, if Scientology quits being a cult, I'm gonna have nothing to talk about in the newspaper. Like, I guarantee you, no one's thinking that. Will I be safer if I never touch a physical newspaper? Maybe. Maybe. I mean, could be contagious.
the chaos merchant. If people were less disturbed, less beaten down by their environments, there would be no new appropriations for police and armies and big rockets. And there'd be
For armies and police and big rockets? There you go, Tiny Digger condoms.
not even pennies for a screaming sensational press. So long
Okay. I love this. So, humanity sucks. Humans suck. Okay? We suck. We're awful. We're selfish. We're lazy. We're messy. We're awful. We can't agree on anything. We have all different cultures, belief systems, religions, blah, 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 blah. You will not, and society will not ever be able to join anything that is going to fix the world and take away all war. It's unfortunate, I know. But unfortunately, also unfortunate, our world is run by people. People are not perfect. So there's always going to be mistakes. There's always going to be like arguing over politics, over religion, over like just even regular cultures. and the differences. Like these things, all right, the only way would be if you all actually did do some fucking New World Order shit, create a fucking cult, and then the whole world became communists. And then we all lived like in North Korea. And I can tell you right now, I ain't doing that. I will go out shooting before you come and make me do that. I mean, I get it enough. Okay, you stay over there with your commie shit. All right, just away. So no. That's what I mean. Like that would be and even then, guess what? Then we don't have any freedom. So are we happy as a society? Are we actually all getting along? Then we're in 1984, George Orwell. Then you get shot for thinking the wrong thing. I think groupthink is scary. Jesus. Have thought police come after you. Like real ones, though. But that's what I mean. Like, there is no way to do that. And the cults are always the first one. The religions, too, are always the first one to be like, if you come over here, we all did this, then the world would be perfect. And it's like, no, unfortunately, no. I think we just all have to come to the conclusion that humans fucking suck. We're never all going to get along. All right? There's over 8 billion of us. All right? Most of us can't even get along with our goddamn neighbor. You want us to get along with 8 billion other people? This is not going to happen. And the cult's not going to save it. I'm just getting really, really fed up with this thing talking about it's the answer for all humanity and all of its problems. As long as they just stick it to the newsman.
As long as politicians move upward on scandal, police get more pay for more crime. Medicos get fatter on more sickness. There will be merchants of chaos. They're paid for it.
Wait, do the police officers know that they get paid if there's more crime? I don't think they realize that they get compensation for that. I mean, what's their compensation plan like? Is there an income disclosure statement? I'm just wondering. I'd give it a look.
And their threat is the simple story of Scientology. For that is the true story.
Okay, so the true story of Scientology is that everyone wants to stop the story from being told. And that's the true story about the story of the story. Got it.
And behind its progress, there is a calmer environment in which a man can live and feel better. If you don't
I think that guy just feels better because I got coffee. I'm saying.
believe it,
I didn't need another.
just stop reading newspapers for 2 weeks.
What if I told you that I hardly ever... Are you ready for it? I don't know. I don't know if they'll be able to handle this. I hardly ever watch the news. Yeah. I don't watch the news. I don't read the newspapers. No. I get all of my information from other things. And I am still sitting here speaking out against Scientology. So,
And see if you feel better.
I can tell you it would make me feel a lot better if Scientology would stop pumping out all this stupid propaganda. I mean, if you guys really wanted to make someone feel better, you could do that. I know I'm not the only one either.
Suppose you had all such disturbances handled.
What are all these disturbances? Like, the only thing that's going wrong in everyone's life is apparently that they read too much of the newspaper. Like, I've got a lot more going on than that, but thank you.
The pity of it is, of course, that even the merchant of chaos could use our help.
The Merchant of Chaos. Maybe I should start calling myself that on here. I'll be the Merchant of Chaos.
Not to get fatter, but just to live
Queen of Chaos! That goes. Does that not go? That goes.
himself as a being. So the true story of Scientology is a simple story
Oh my God.
and too true to be turned aside.
The true story is that it's too true. You better listen to it right now and stop listening to the news.
He was the nation's youngest Eagle Scout at the age of 13.
It's our friend the Eagle. Sorry. Apparently, there was a little bit of a commercial at the end of that I did not remove. So, that's like their big video. Like they put it out. They were very, very excited. That's the whole thing. That's it. That they made all of these fucking ads for that thing. And then that was it. I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, that's it? That is it? So, I think that it wouldn't be good of me, and it wouldn't be who I am at all, if we didn't have a little bit of fun, of course, with my favorite show today. Well, I go grab coffee, and then we continue on with this thing where we're going to talk about the science of Scientology, because good old, our buddy old our buddy old pal, that's what I wanted to say, our buddy old pal here, Ron, he wrote something called A Summary on Scientology for Scientists, a paper on the difficulties of researching in the humanities by L Ron Hubbard. It was written in January of 1969, but I think that it will be a fun little read on his birthday. And we also are going to hear from his son, because I mean, family is important when it's your birthday, you know, and it's his birthday. Like, go shoddy, it's your birthday, you know, like that. Queen of Chaos. Yes, I feel like, how did I almost lose my voice already? So we are going to take a moment. We're going to have kind of like a little palate cleanser, if you will. And I'm going to grab a coffee. And then, like I said, I have this amazing read. And yeah, we also have L Ron Hubbard's son is going to just be telling us a little bit about him so that we can, you know, celebrate with his family. I think that family is the most important thing in the world to me. So, you know, we got to like keep that going. Got to celebrate with his family too. So, I shall be right back. Go pee. And ha 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 ha. Yes. Yes, I love it. I really do. It's my favorite thing in the world. So, a summary on Scientology for scientists, which of course I think is just really interesting because, I mean, L Ron Hubbard wasn't a scientist. He was a sci-fi writer. So he wrote this amazing little blurb, and of course has one of his quotes here. It says, "So I went off on an expedition and began to study life. Primitive cultures seemed to be a place to start. Never was any modern researcher confronted with so many conflicting data or subjects and so little result among them. L. Ron Hubbard." In other words, he's like, I'm a big idiot. A summary on Scientology for scientists, a paper on the difficulties of researching in the humanities by none other than birthday boy himself, L. Ron Hubbard, of course. So yes, it was written in January 1969. I thought so. A summary on Scientology for scientists provides an overview of not only the difficulties in scientific research as applied to the humanities, but how L. Ron Hubbard overcame these to develop Scientology. So, I mean, it's an important read. For about 38 years at this writing, 1969, too bad it wasn't the summer of love. It might have been a better story. I have been engaged upon basic research into life and the humanities. This is basic or pure research and has the same Janus as the effort of the early philosophers to attempt to establish the identity of life as independent from matter and as associated with the material world and forms, which subjects are embraced by basic and developed sciences. The difference is that the research has been done from the viewpoint of scientific methodology in which I am trained. I mean, not really, Ron, but okay. The subject was, in fact, sufficiently unknown and insufficiently nomenclatured to have a clear-cut name. That wasn't a clear-cut name to me. Okay, it just wasn't. I say it was unknown because it has so markedly failed to keep pace with the natural or physical sciences, and is in fact threatened by physical science. For example, we find physical science protests are based on life violations. I mean, I guess. Or the misuse of abuse of life by incautious physical applications. Science and Survival by Barry Commoner. Just, I guess, where he got that from. To protect something, one has to know what it is. Scientifically know what it is. The DNA biological theories apply to life plus matter, and all efforts to cause matter to produce life have so far failed. Big F's. Big F's from L Ron Hubbard. He says, nope, don't like it, you fail. This common denominator to all interests, to all efforts to protect, to all scientific benefits, had not been studied and had no name connected with any rationale which led to a pure and predictable identification or results. Bergson's Elan Vital and other philosophic hazarding was not in keeping with what we think of in this century as orderly, controlled, scientific methodology. Supposition and authority is a poor rock on which to base all predictions. Not having any real name embracing the study itself, it was of course impossible to take courses in it. So that's why you created your own, isn't it, Ron? It could not have its answers in known fields, since it itself was unknown in not only its identity, but its characteristics. I took whatever mathematics and physics were offered at a university, but then was stopped, largely by lack of further academic subjects to study. I recall that my mind crystallized on the project when I found that the psychology and philosophy courses taught were inadequate to the research task I had in mind, as in neither one could I find any students or professors who had studied modern mathematics or physics or who used what I had been trained to regard as scientific methodology and who, as far as I could find, would admit to the errors in logic, mathematics I found in them. In other words, L Ron Hubbard knows everything and everyone else is a big old dummy and no one would listen to him. In his own orderly world, the physical scientist would not credit confusion which existed in the humanities. So I went off on an expedition and began to study life. Primitive cultures seemed to be a place to start. Never was any modern researcher confronted with so many conflicting data or subjects and so little result among them. Yet, obviously, the past century of sprint by the physical sciences, which was even then speeding up, would overreach what were known as the humanities and even overwhelm them. And so it has proven. Burdened by researching during the Brewer's period's utter lack of research grants and funds, I had to solve the economics of it all. I did so mainly by writing and movies and did very well at it. He didn't make any money, remember? He was like broke. At least enough to finance what else I was doing. Oh, maybe that's why. He was just financing everything else he was doing. I wrote a book in the late 1930s after a breakthrough on the subject, but the book was never published. Dianetics. Yeah, Dianetics was not, well, I already talked about that. Eventually, I had gone back through all the mirror mazes and plain fog of the humanities and worked with Scientology. I had to study the subject in the fleeting moments left in a life overworked and overstressed. I found some clues to cellular memory and retention of patterns, and originated and abandoned as impossible a theory you still see around about memory storage in molecules. He's just like the most intelligent man in the world. Like, he's done everything. Rumors of the book and some papers brought me to the attention of Russia via Amtorg, which made me a research offer. As it unfortunately was conditional upon going to Russia, which was still fashionable, and required of me a system of measuring the work potential of workers there, I had to decline. This was unfortunate, as the date was 1939. Ideological considerations and requirements of better control or subservience of people was not on my work schedule. No, because you were a narcissist, Ronnie. The Second World War in service was a long interruption, but in 1945 I was back at research again, using the library and facilities of Oaknall Naval Hospital. In under a year, by use of indoctrine experiments, on the basis that the indoctrines are a switchboard of stimulus response, I found that functions seemed to monitor structure in living forms. As the reverse had been held to be true and had not provided a breakthrough, I was therefore able to proceed now in a new direction. Isn't he just like the smartest fucking man in the world? Aren't you so impressed? I found eventually that life increased in potential by the stripping away of additives. This meant I could possibly be on the road to isolating life as a pure force. Working with small energies, I eventually found the mental energy seemed to be a band between life and emotion and what might be a pure life essence. In handling this, I found the mental energy was made up of mental image pictures, and that these became jammed together into masses until the commodity known as life became nearly extinguished. By unburdening these, by a method of erasure, I found life potential increased. This became Dianetics. Dia through nos mind. So I guess that's where it comes from, right? One sec. Dian and nos. Awesome. Amazeballs. I feel like he didn't have it done enough to like really. Anyway, I want to read all the peer review papers. That would be fun. Yeah. As it had a connection with psychosomatic illness, I offered the discoveries and papers on them to leading healing societies and was rebuffed. They had nothing to do with basic research. Yeah, that's what it was. They were like, you know what? This is so basic. I don't want it. Research, too basic. It's based. A medical associate and a psychiatric publisher told me I had only the public left. Oh God, who did this? I need to talk to these people. Okay, you are the problem. So I wrote a book and it became surprisingly popular. I mean, excuse me, we spoke on that about how apparently popular it was. Like, he always talks like he was this like famous sci-fi writer, and a lot of people in Scientology, when they talk about him, they obviously talk about him like he's a god and like he was this famous sci-fi writer. But no, like, he just made enough money to put back into his other projects. So I mean, I don't believe that Dianetics became popular at all based on my research of this thing until after he had turned it into Scientology, right? But whatever he wants to say, I guess. Surprisingly popular. Yeah, because you were surprised that it wasn't popular? Is that? Just before this publication, the U.S. Navy's Office of Naval Research approached me and made a threatening offer that I must go to work for them as a civilian or be recalled to active duty. Are you talking about the draft? Is that? All right, I'm just not going to go there. The project was to make people more suggestible. I was able to resign before they could complete the threat. While I had no complaint about real active service, I had already done a pre-war tour of duty in Washington offices and knew I could get little done there, and I had no ambition to make people more suggestible. You don't say. This was the second and last contact regarding any research aid. Because then I built a cult. I had applied earlier for funds to foundations, and none were available for basic research. I think, but like he just keeps calling it basic research. That might have been part of his problem. Maybe if he was a little bit more specific, he would, but then maybe not because it's all a bunch of bullshit. But I hope he at least was more specific when he was trying to get the funds and everything. Few understood at that time that basic research had any value. See, it's always basic research. Only specific projects for specific products qualified. And no pseudoscience. What do you know? You mean aliens come and take us up to the sky? Yeah, we should go research some on that. I'm sure they were not very, excited. No. Probably not. A group formed to handle the popularity of the book, Dianetics, yet it provided no research assistance beyond testing vitamins. And you're probably like, well, what the fuck would you have to test vitamins for? Yeah, no, me too, sis. Me too. I'm just as confused. I had been willing to leave the project at that time. In fact, I had another expedition scheduled, but the impact of the book carried along with it one of those savage parallel attacks sometimes experienced by researchers, which threw my life into chaos. Well, now I'm the queen of chaos. Sorry. An attempt was made on my life. That's what he says. He discovered all the secrets of the world in Dianetics. And, yep, apparently somebody just came and they're like, you know what? You're gonna, come with me. We're gonna try and kill you and kidnap you and, all this over Dianetics. Yeah, no, they were like, this research that you're doing here into the aliens of the afterlife and Xenu here is, it's the real shit. We gotta stop you. I bet you it was the same people that, didn't want us to know that the earth is flat. They're just hiding everything from us out here. So yeah, L Ron Hubbard here claims, an attempt was made on my life. I narrowly escaped kidnapping and I was loudly berated for misdeeds I had never committed. Well, I can relate to that part, but you did commit them. Seldom has there ever been such a heavy change in a man's life. He's been married twice. I'm sorry, but that just floored me a little bit because I'm like, dude, this isn't, come on now. You've had some big changes and I'm sure some things have happened. What about at the war, But anyway, whew. He says, I was a well-liked writer on Monday, and on Tuesday was a horrible beast. Same man. Were you a Gemini? No, you're not a Gemini. A scientist releasing his material to the public or seeking to advise his fellows of some discovery sometimes finds a poor ally in the press. For years, the most unusual and imaginary charges were hurled at me. Reporters never came near me. Now you get why they all hate reporters so much, right? They just wrote about me. L Ron Hubbard fucking hated reporters. It was hardly an atmosphere in which to continue research, but at great stress and out of responsibility to a public who supported me, I did so. 15 years after that first public release, I was able to develop the full technology that would isolate a being as a pure life force. It was the person himself, and far stronger and more capable. Yep, that's it. He isolated a being as a pure life force with technology. And it was a person, or as Eck would say, soul. Remember, Eck also came from this. In the following 2 years, despite the heavy stresses of administration and the same unseen force that kept striking at me on public lines, but not when he was in the war, I guess we're not going to talk about that, I was able to stably attain the result uniformly for people in technology known as Scientology processing. I like to call it Scientology indoctrination or Scientology manipulation, Scientology brainwashing. But I guess processing works. Slightly less than 19 years after the first book, I found the what and why of the attacks. Oh my God, he found them. He knows now. Who was it, Ronnie? Who was it? Well, they could have been motivated and financed by a church or the state. They were not. Oh my God. You mean it wasn't the Vatican? The hidden secret of the attacks of 19 years was research funds. What? Wait, what? That's not what I thought it was going to say. Research fund. Research fund. This man's biggest enemy is fucking research funds, for fuck's sake. None had been available in my day, but after the war, the psychologist and psychiatrist groups in 1948 organized a research fund activity through international organizations. Again, can I talk to some of these people? I would like to ask them, like, were you drunk? Did you fall and hit your head? Did he threaten you? I just have some questions. Governments contributed unbelievable sums to them with incredibly small and even illegal or dishonest results of human experimentation. I know. You should look up the LSD trials. Anyway. I would have loved to ask L Ron Hubbard today. So, what did you think of those? Oh, you were a part of them? Oh, no, that explains it. Yeah, no, all right. Aliens out of the sky. Yeah, I know. Good writing. He goes on to say, my work, as I now patch it together, was considered, I do not know how, a threat to such fund appropriation. It was also considered a threat to healing income. For years, I suppose the latter predominated, but this is not true. I have seen the appropriations and the list of those to whom such funds were given. There was nothing wrong with granting research funds. Now, this is starting to turn into a fucking hate letter now. I'm just saying, it's getting spicy. But to do this as a scientific activity to men untrained in any scientific methodology or mores has been a serious mistake. Unlike the biologists, the chemists, and other scientists, the psychologists and psychiatrists know nothing of the scientific method, know little or no mathematics, and share none of the basic discipline which holds scientists together. That's a bunch of bullhooey, and you know it. They are trained in authoritarian subjects, and their approach is entirely authoritarian. The funds are not used for actual research, but are simply paid out to their friends. I have the documents on this. Is he going to post them here? No, of course not. Nope. Did we ever? No. Nope. They must be in a secret vault somewhere. For 19 years, this multi-million-dollar river over the world has been used to attack my independent researcher and to forward the most mad plans for political control I have ever perused. Sorry. I would not make such a statement without the documents being close to hand, sent to me by medical doctors who also do not like them. Nobody likes them. They can go eat worms. Therefore, I conclude it is a serious mistake to finance untrained and unskilled persons with unlimited research finance. Give it to me instead, he says, which in itself can become a small, individuated area, ferociously self-defensive and very fatal to have around. This whole thing has been very fatal. Like, I feel like now he's getting very mad. Am I the only one that's like, why is he so mad all of a sudden? I feel like he got mad. Am I just reading it mad? Like, literally. It's very strange. It's very weird. He's very angry. The humanities have not tracked along with physical science because there were, I almost cannot read this calmly. I just try to take a little second. I'm like, all right, take a second. Maybe it's just me. Am I just fired up? What's going on? But no, I think it's like the language and everything used. He seems very, very bitter about all this. The humanities have not tracked along with physical science because there were no real scientists in the humanities. The basic rules and mores of physical scientists were missing. Yet the entire social order for progress depends upon the humanities catching up their lost time. Yeah, and L Ron Hubbard knows all of it, right? He'll teach them how to do that. Yet the atmosphere in which the research must be done has not changed much from Hegel's time. Is it supposed to? Like, I'm a little bit confused. I have been working seriously and productively in this field, denied any funds, and combating fantastically over financed opposition. Jesus, can you, like, be nice? Imagine him, like, actually getting angry at you. See, and that's the thing is, I'm reading this whole thing, right? I'm going through, I'm reading. I keep going back to be like, is he really this angry, like, the whole fucking time? He is. But my whole thing is, so he's this angry, just writing this, okay? Just this little letter. Imagine, like, actually doing something to this man to piss him off. And, like, how he would, like, do you get a letter like this? If you're in Scientology, right? And you do something that this man does not like, do you get a letter like this? I need to know, because that's not okay. Seems very angry. He's like, ah! Whew. Yet the entire social order for progress depends upon the humanities catching up their lost time. Oh, I already read that part. Sorry. See, now I'm getting mixed up because I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Whew. The society at large does not oppose advance in this field. Who's the society at large? Like, just the people that read your book? I'm confused. The churches do not, but governments at the urgings of the incompetent authority, respect my authority, have attacked all advance by serious basic researchers. Again, I cannot read this without getting, like, fired up. Few have the courage or stamina to stand up to such opposition and still carry on their work. The campaign of discrediting any such work discredits as well as its possibility and discourages actual scientists. In my time, I have seen Dr. William Reich, MD, who was researching in small energies in the mind, killed by the. Wait, Jesus Christ! That got dark quick. Killed by the FDA of the US at the urgings of financed interests. I have seen others viciously attacked for attempts to advance knowledge of the humanities. Okay, I'm sorry, but then we get into murder. See, I keep trying to read it calm. There is no way. No way. I am not requesting and have not indeed needed research funds for some time. I have made a breakthrough in this field. It has taken 38 years of hard work. It is successful. It can be subject to the usual scientific proofs and controls. It has been tested over and over by competent persons, like the people that are in your cult. There are 55 axioms. There is a considerable body of application data. There are over 16 million words of gathered materials. I am sometimes accused of keeping the data back. It is there for public and professional use, but in offering it to the US to increase scientists' IQ and have pilot reaction time, our Washington office was raided by longshoremen with drawn guns. Really? Longshoremen with drawn guns came in to raid your office because of your research. You think it was over your research? Okay. Posing as federal marshals, and a Wheatstone bridge we use was seized along with books. Just give them the bridge back and tell them to shut up. I have been pressed to the most unusual means of forwarding research. This is a short case history of why there had not been any real scientific activity in the field of the humanities. This is why there's no science here. A scientist in the physical sciences would not believe the chaos, incompetence, dishonesty, and opposition to be found in these subjects. What about like how angry you are? I'm just saying. There was no field before Scientology for basic, pure scientific research into the humanities. Do you ever wonder why, Ron? Just ask why. And is that really true? I feel like people have been researching humanity for a long time. I don't know if that's the right word that you were looking for. There were no university subjects beyond mathematics and the physical sciences, which also contained a scientific approach. Okay. The literature of philosophy is interesting and can be brought into a sensible alignment. However, only if not approached in an authoritarian manner, it is offered. I once resigned a doctorate in protest of this atmosphere. Oh God, sure you did. Yeah, you were like, I don't need my doctorate. Thank you. I'm just going to give it back to you guys. I'm good. Thanks. Thank you. Yep, no. I don't need my education. I don't need no fucking education. Anyway, authoritarianism, professionalism, and dogma obscure the humanities to such a marked degree that it requires extraordinary resolution to research in them. The recoil on the individual researcher is financed by research funds. I'm reading this as someone that basically just researches every single day. And where's my funds, huh? Where my funds at? Which are looked upon as profit, are not gainfully applied to the subject, and are granted to persons insufficiently grounded in science to embrace its ethics or methodology. If most actual scientists are trying to safeguard, improve, or protect life, then it is time that they give heed to the field of the humanities. Now it's turning into a commercial for it. This field has been completely unorganized. There has been no place to publish or discuss or exchange actual data without colliding with the lines of overfinanced research interests, which have said to me regarding a graph of improvement. Jesus, why do you have so many run-on sentences, Ron? Maybe you should have gotten a damn English degree. Stay a sci-fi writer. Get an English degree, write more books. Done something else. Anyway, a graph of improvement. If you publish that in our journal, it would revolutionize psychology. All right, publish it. Oh, we couldn't do that. We have finance coming from Congress to explore that area. Thus, you have the story of how Scientology had to develop, some of the reasons it was released as it was, and is as it is. Okay? And that's why there's no science. That's why Bezos says, listen, fuck you. You wouldn't let me. You wouldn't let me do it. No journals, no society, no other contacts. These were its hazards. Alone in the humanities, it produces uniformly a predicted result in many areas. It is now well known and used in aerospace programs by hundreds of its people. I am told by one of their leaders. Wait, what? Like, they didn't come and let you know? Like, you were the one that created it, and they weren't like, geez, yeah, thanks, okay. Bits of it, earlier bits, are being released from time to time as new discoveries by others. Those chaotic assholes. Man needs this subject. He needs, with his wars and pollutions and growing dominance of the physical sciences, a grasp of the humanities, not perverted by greed, professionalism, and authoritarian, but untested nonsense. Authoritarianism? I'm sorry, that bothered me. Man is a spiritual being, not a vegetable or animal. Vegetables aren't real. Okay? Okay. And that is susceptible to scientific proof. The data of Scientology was derived by and stands up to scientific methodology. Okay, says Ron here. It contains a workable system regarding life. Again, says Ron, the one that profited off it and, invented it, made it into a cult. It has not yet begun to be applied broadly to any of the fields where the humanities are losing out. It probably has good application in biology. It can shed, possibly, some small light in physics and chemistry. I don't know. I asked my dad about Scientology. He has his PhD in chemistry. Worked in the field for like fucking over 45 years. Graduated top of his fucking class with like a 98 average from McGill University. And I can tell you right now, he thinks that this is all a bunch of fucking bullshit. And he will laugh at this shit with me. The data was very hardly won. Whole governments have crushed down on me to halt it. I do not exaggerate. It would be a great shame and possibly a great loss in knowledge if it were not reviewed by other fields in the humanities and physical sciences. It has been a lonely road. I walk a lonely road upon the... Sorry, I won't do that again. And that is, of course, the end of that area of his website, lronhubbard.org. And, of course, we will be reading more of that in future. I'm sure that you all cannot wait. So the last thing I have for you today, I promise I will stop torturing you very, very soon. The last thing that I have for you today is I want to watch what happened with L Ron Hubbard's son. He did a little bit of an interview, and I have a pretty short clip of it, and I just want to, because it's his birthday, and we're celebrating his birthday, so I thought, we got to have some family here, too. I mean, that would just not be fair if we didn't do that. We need to have family. So I thought, I would be doing this stream, and I'm like, you know what? It would be really nice if near the end of the stream, if I just put on a clip of what, L Ron Hubbard's son has to say about him. I mean, I'm sure it'll be great, right? Like, it's his son. It's his birthday. Well, it'll be good. We'll be fine. We'll get through it. Should be.
Morning, I'm Carol Randolph, and welcome to Morning.
Oh, he still scares me a little bit. He looks like the Grim Reaper there. Like, "Rah!" Sorry. I'll start praying to Xenu.
Break. What has happened to L Ron Hubbard, founder of one of the world's wealthiest and most controversial religious groups, Scientology? One of the issues to be discussed this morning with my first guest, Ron DeWolf, who's the son of the missing L Ron Hubbard. Let's give him a big round of applause, please.
Unfortunately, poor Gent looks like his dad.
Welcome. In 1972, you alleged in court papers that your father had lived a life characterized by severe mental illness and physical disease, consistent failure, and the use of false and fraudulent oft-time criminal means to cover up these failures and to acquire wealth, fame, and power in order to destroy his perceived enemies. What made you draw those conclusions? What did you see that led you to that?
Because I lived it. 99% of what my father wrote and said about himself is totally untrue. And millions of people have taken this false data over a period of 30-some-odd years and relied upon it and built a set of beliefs and built an organization. And basically those allegations that I made were true because throughout up to 1959, I was deeply involved in all of it.
What did you see specifically? I mean, give me an example when you say criminal means. Like, for example, what did you see?
I mean, okay. I was trying to celebrate your dad's birthday. I thought you'd do a little better of a speech, but I guess maybe he'll say something good soon. Like, he's got to love his dad.
Fraud and deception, the involvement with, in the early days in Phoenix, Arizona, for an example, in 1952, the involvement with organized crime.
What? There was organized crime? Well, I'm not at all surprised.
Organized crime in what capacity?
The use of Scientology money, his own money, to finance drug importations into the country from Mexico and Colombia.
You saw these things.
All right. All I have to say to that is, like, first of all, this is his son, so I have a little bit of an issue with his son. Like, I hope his son was an adult when he saw these things. You know what I mean? But probably grew up with a lot of it. And that's a little worrisome. I just had to get that part off my chest. Also, this, a lot, right? So, I mean, L Ron Hubbard was definitely an interesting dude.
Yes, I was involved with several of the incidents.
You recorded any of this? So you have papers to prove. Could you walk into court and prove any of these allegations?
I didn't think for years that I could. Most of it I thought was buried, but I think now, since I have been speaking out, that there has been evidence being brought forward proving those allegations.
Why did you leave the church? Because of these allegations, these things that you...
No, well, I left the church for a whole wide variety of reasons.
His son's actually been a really big advocate in speaking out against the church since he has left many, many years ago.
It isn't a very simple answer. I left because my wife wanted me to, and also because I wasn't making any money, because all the money flows, of course, to my father, always has. I was also tired of the fraud and the deception, plus the...
See, and that's the thing, is that, like I said, when you go into this thing, you have to hand that over. All of your possessions, all of your money, all goes into the church. And he didn't even get to, like, get any wealth or anything. And L Ron Hubbard was his daddy. This poor gentleman had to call Lafayette Ron Hubbard daddy.
his deep involvement in personal use of drugs on himself and others, black magic.
When you say black magic, what are you talking about? I mean, some of the things that I read in the stack of material, it sounds just absolutely unbelievable. What are you talking about when you say this?
Well, the funny thing is that the actual truth is about as far out as Scientology itself. Really, the basis of Scientology, which is rather hidden and covered over, is the occult, the deep involvement with satanic powers that he felt that he was deeply involved with a British black magician called Aleister Crowley, and through putting himself in...
Yes, witches and Aleister Crowley. For those that do not know, L Ron Hubbard also really looked up to Aleister Crowley. And yeah, witches, witchcraft. L Ron Hubbard was very big with the occult. And the funny thing is, when he actually went over and did the Scientology movement and everything, right? Because it started off as a movement, then became a religion. And now to me, it's a cult. When he went over there, he didn't tell them any of his occult practices in the past. Like, nobody there knew until after like other people started speaking out about him from like his family and that, which obviously didn't happen until like way down the line because everyone was like manipulated by him and controlled by him and in a cult.
deep hypnotic trances and the use of drugs on himself. He wanted to become the most powerful.
I swear to God to you, every single dangerous, controlling, bad cult always goes back to Aleister Crowley. Every single time you listen to some occult leader or someone talking about cult leaders, you can pretty much find them say, yep, looked up to Aleister Crowley. Yep, liked Aleister Crowley. I hope not. Because literally the dude was evil. Now, he wasn't really a Satanist. We're going to get into all that. I have a whole deep dive coming. But there was a lot of real bad, evil shit that he promoted and taught and just not good at all. And anyone that's following him or thinks that he's a good person in any way, just stay far away from.
A being in the world.
Did you consider all of this a religion? Do
No.
you now?
No,
Why not?
because it's a business. It always has been. I was one of the...
Because it's a business, it always has been. And that's the funny thing is that it was actually found out that even like L Ron Hubbard basically said, I just created it because I don't want to pay fucking taxes. I don't want people to listen to me and like, you know, buy my books and shit. He didn't even actually fully believe in all this. He knew he made it up. The funny thing is that a lot of times, like the cult leaders, they believe in it. Part of me thinks that like Harold Klebb actually does believe in Eckankar, right? But when it came to L Ron Hubbard, like he was like, no, this is my sci-fi book that I base this off of, and I'm gonna make a bunch of money and control a bunch of people. And it was a business. And even to this day, with all of the classes that they're doing and all their money that's going through there and everything of the sort, even today, it's more of a business and almost like an MLM coaching program with a weird religion attached to it, that it is a cult. Scientology is not that different from like Nexium and the rest of them like that have this like very, very strange sort of thing with it, right? Where it's like you got to do these self-development courses and classes, buy the books. The person that runs it is like some guru, all-knowing, that will fix your life, you know. It's a running theme. And a theme you should run from.
Incorporators of one of the original church organizations, and we incorporated just because the AMA and the IRS were giving him a lot of problems in the early 50s.
What was your relationship like with your father? I mean, for a lot of people, they would say, well, maybe you're doing all this because you did not have a good relationship with your father, or maybe you're doing all this for the money. Why are you taking these stands?
Because I want to see the truth. And I can't expose my father without exposing myself. I mean, my life is pretty messed up and goofy anyway. In actual fact, who really belongs in this chair is L Ron Hubbard.
It's actually really sad to think about, like, what this poor guy's life would have been being his son. Not a typical father-son relationship. Especially when your dad, like, I've had friends that have had preacher parents or parents that are ministers and things. And that's hard. Imagine having the friggin' parent that's running a whole cult. Like, he is the God, right? Because usually preachers, ministers, all these people, like, they're not sitting there saying, I am the God, right? They're running a church service, worshiping someone else, right? The difference here is that even though you're worshiping someone else, a lot of times it's like through L Ron Hubbard and all of his weird shit. So it all still is very much all about him, right? Instead of it even being about Xenu, which we'll do a little blurb about him at the end, since in case I'm bringing him up all the time, people are like, who's that?
My father, but why I'm doing it is let's lay all the facts out and let people decide.
I have a copy of a letter that supposedly came from your father, where he
Thank
talks about
you.
the fact that your mother was an alcoholic and that she deserted both of you, and that you were not in any position to know about him or the church. Do you believe this is an authentic letter, first of all?
I really don't know, but I know that he has these facts all fouled up.
I think that maybe they should shut up.
Such as?
Well, that he didn't know me very well. The fact is, from 1952 to 1959, I was very instrumental in and around the organization and the formation of it. I was director of training.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. He was like high up in it, and then when he left, right, started speaking out against his dad, they were like, he didn't know shit. He doesn't know anything. He was just a son. He doesn't know anything that was going on. It was like bizarre, but welcome to a cult where you turn your back on your son, your own son. Happy birthday, L Ron Hubbard.
Taught
Real piece of work.
many, better than 20 advanced clinical courses. I was chief instructor, traveled to England half a dozen times, lived with him. And so that
So
I
you're
find
saying
that,
you're in a position to really know your father and the church and the workings of the church.
oh yes, very much so.
Why do you believe now?
I don't know why people would even question that, because like there's more than enough proof that he was around with his father and that he was high up in it, and then he's also the son. So it's like I don't know why people would really question that. It's just because obviously he's denying it, so he has the church questioning it. But I'm pretty sure anyone outside of the church was watching this even at the time of it being aired, going, "Oh yeah, he knows. He knows what's up. He was definitely a part of it. He knows. He knows the behind the scenes, like what was going on at nighttime when his dad was by himself, right? Like he knows."
Or do you believe now that your father is alive?
I personally don't believe so, but
Why not?
I really don't know. That's just, as I said, a personal belief, but I think that if he is alive, he is certainly quite incompetent to handle his own affairs and is being grossly manipulated by the people around him.
People such as?
Well, in my petition, we named, I believe, a 22-year-old boy with about a 9th grade education named David Miscavige, who's one of them.
Now this
Dun dun dun. Who was that? David Miscavige came to the church at that age and became L Ron Hubbard's like right-hand man. Like almost replaced this guy as his son. Like that's how close they were. People like would think that he was the son, not this guy on their screen right now. People used to ask, "Is this your son?" And no, this is David. Right? So that's what I mean. David Miscavige is who runs it today. You'll see him because he's very good friends with Tom Cruise.
This is a person who belongs to what is called now the Sea Organization, is that correct?
Yes, the Sea Org, and that is the, it's sort of, could be considered the SS arm.
Now, would you explain that? I mean, who are these people, and why have you labeled them that?
Because they're very much parallel a Hitlerite type organization.
And you realize that's very difficult for us to understand that. Here we are sitting in America today in the year 1983, and you're telling us that there's a group of young people who are like the SS.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I mean, how were they indoctrinated? Where were these young people? Where would they have gotten this concept from?
Gotten it from my father. They were raised in Scientology, and all they've known is Scientology and my father. And
were they isolated from the outside world altogether?
not altogether, but pretty much kept in a very tight group. And of course, outside contact and outside communication has always been kept at a minimum over the years.
When you say SS, I think about harassment, intimidation, even death threats. Have you had any of this?
Oh, it's all of it. I've been the subject of the what's called the fair game doctrine, which has been in existence since the mid-50s. That simply says that anyone perceived as an enemy of L Ron Hubbard or Scientology can be attacked, sued, lied to, deprived of property, and even destroyed.
Awesome. I'm fair gamed on YouTube. I relate.
Without any discipline or retribution from the organization.
Someone has actually tried to kill you?
Yes, I believe so. About 3 or 4 times over the years.
But not now that you're out here public?
Yeah, so it's funny, right? Because that's his son. He's trying to kill his own son 3 or 4 times over the years, right? And we just read an article, right, where he's like all upset at the press and people coming in trying to kill him for like trying to get the research out. And then his dumbass, hypocrite, turns around and does that exact same thing to his son when his son wants to get out and like not be a part of that stuff anymore. It's mind-blowing.
Have not received any more threats?
No, not since I filed my petition. They've been rather quiet since then.
And yeah, so I guess that's all he has to say on his birthday. But Scientology accounts did not mention Hubbard's involvement in occultism. He is instead described as continuing to write to help support his research whenever he was described in the past. And during this period, he was also told that he was doing the development of a means to better the condition of man. The Church of Scientology has nonetheless acknowledged Hubbard's involvement with the OTO. A 1969 statement written by Hubbard himself said, "Hubbard broke up black magic in America. L Ron Hubbard was still an officer of the U.S. Navy because he was well known as a writer and a philosopher and had friends amongst the physicists. He was sent to handle the situation. He went to live at the house and investigated the black magic rites and the general situation and found them very bad. Hubbard's mission was successful far beyond anyone's expectations." People are always fucking sociopath or narc when they write in third person. I'm just saying. "The house was torn down. Hubbard rescued a girl they were using. The black magic group was dispersed and destroyed and has never recovered." So the good news is he mentioned the girl from Bells of Nevermore. The Church of Scientology says Hubbard was sent in by his fellow science fiction author, Robert Heinlein, who was running off-book intelligence operations for naval intelligence at the time. So whenever someone was kind of like, you know, like how did you get this religion or this this whole like philosophy, I guess, out of your fucking sci-fi? That was what he would say. However, Heinlein's authorized biographer has said that he looked into the matter at the suggestion of Scientologists, but found nothing to corroborate claims that Heinlein has been involved. And his biography of Heinlein makes no mention of this whatsoever anywhere. And you would think that, he would have wanted him to include that because that would have been a big part of his life, right? In 1948, in letters to friends, Hubbard began to make the first public mentions of what was to become Dianetics. He wrote in January 1949 that he was working on a book of psychology about the cause and cure of nervous tension, which he was going to call the Dark Sword, Excalibur, or Science of the Mind, either one. On March 8th of 1949, he wrote to a friend and fellow science fiction author, Mr. Robert Heinlein, from Savannah, Georgia. Hubbard referenced Heinlein's earlier work, Coventry, in which a utopian government has the ability to psychologically cure criminals of violent personality traits. So, again, that's a little bit interesting. I feel like that might have, got the ball rolling in terms of him thinking about all of the Dianetic stuff and how to run a cult. He told Heinlein, well, you didn't specify in your book what actual reformation took place in the society to make supermen. Got to thinking about it the other day. The system is Excalibur. It makes null A's. His first published articles in Dianetics were Terra Incognita, the Mind, in the Explorer's Journal, and another one that impacted people more heavily in Astounding Science Fiction. In April of 1949, he wrote to several professional organizations to offer his research, as we've been talking about, and none of them were interested. So he turned to his editor, John W. Campbell, who was more receptive due to a long-standing fascination with fringe psychologies and psychic powers that permitted both his fiction and nonfiction. So, to him, that would have been a lot of fun. In July of 1949, Campbell recruited an acquaintance, Dr. Joseph Winter, to help develop Hubbard's new therapy of Dianetics. So they were in on it with him. They were like, this is a great idea. Kind of like he said. Campbell told Winter, with cooperation from some institutions, some psychiatrists, Hubbard has worked on all types of cases. Institutionalized schizophrenics, apathies, manics, depressives, perverts, stuttering, neurosis in all. Nearly 1,000 cases. But just a brief sampling of each type. He doesn't have proper statistics in the usual sense, but he has one statistic. He has cured every patient he worked with. He has cured ulcers, arthritis, and asthma. Hubbard collaborated with Campbell and Winter to refine his techniques, testing them on science fiction fans recruited by Campbell. The basic principle of Dianetics was that the brain recorded every experience and event in a person's life, even when unconscious. And I want you to listen to this as well and think of Eckankar. Bad or painful experiences were stored as what he called engrams in a reactive mind. These could be triggered later in life, which could then cause emotional and physical problems. One would have to carry out a process which was called auditing, and that is when a person could be regressed through his engrams to re-experiencing past experiences. And, kind of like how back in the day, there was a bunch of psychologists that got in trouble for putting ideas into a bunch of people's heads because of regressed memories. Well, same worries here. Same worries here. Anyway, this process here enabled the engrams to be cleared. And then that would make that subject in the state of clear. And we've talked before in the past about how it was all about being clear, being unclear, and all this. Again, this isn't my first deep dive, but I just want to go over some extra things because, it's his birthday. So if you were in the state of clear, you would have a perfectly functioning mind with an improved IQ and photographic memory. The clear would be cured of physical ailments ranging from poor eyesight to the common cold to arthritis to asthma to cancer to anything else that you can think of. And Hubbard asserted that all of these were purely psychosomatic. Winter submitted a paper on Dianetics to the Journal of the American Medical Association and the American Journal of Psychiatry. But both of them were like, fuck that, no thank you. Hubbard and his collaborators decided to announce Dianetics in Campbell's Astounding Science Fiction instead. In an editorial, Campbell said, "Its power is almost unbelievable. It proves the mind not only can, but does rule the body completely, following the sharply defined basic laws set forth. Physical ills such as ulcers, asthma, and arthritis can be cured, as can all other psychosomatic ills." The birth of Hubbard's second daughter, Alexis Valerie, delivered by Winter on March 8, 1950, came in the middle of the preparations to launch Dianetics. Shortly afterwards, in April of 1950, a Hubbard Dianetic Research Foundation was established in Elizabeth, New Jersey, with Hubbard, Sarah, Winter, and Campbell on the board of directors, and Sarah was Hubbard's wife. Hubbard described Dianetics as the hidden source of all psychosomatic ills and human aberration. When he introduced Dianetics to the world in the 1950s, that's exactly what he described it all as. He then went on to claim that skills have been developed for their invariable cure. Dianetics was duly launched in Astounding's May 1950 issue, and on May 9th, Hubbard's companion book, Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health, was published by Hermitage House. Hubbard abandoned freelance writing in order to promote Dianetics, writing several books about it in the next decade and delivering an estimated 4,000 lectures while founding Dianetics research organizations. And that is actually the 100% true story. So now you should know, if you listen to what he said, if you listen to what we heard others say, if you listened to what I said in my research of everything, if you go and watch other people, you will gather that that's the full story from several different points of view. So now we just need to take a minute and we need to pray to Xenu. Xenu. See, pronounced Xenu. He is the dictator of a galactic confederacy of 76 planets who was captured and imprisoned on Earth 75 million years ago after bringing billions of his people to Earth, placing them around volcanoes and killing them by using hydrogen bombs. Scientologists believe he is still being kept there these days, today, right now. Yeah, they want to save him. Xenu is very important to the beliefs of Scientology because the story of Xenu explains the believed origin of what are known as body thetans from humans. And yeah, this came from Aleister Crowley language. Body thetans are believed to be the essence of Xenu's people that gather around humans and cause them spiritual harm. It is the purpose of auditing within Scientology to remove these thetans from the Scientologist. And that right there is Xenu. Yep, we got a picture of him here. A good old little alien dude. you know, like one of those aliens. And that is actually what they believe. They do believe in that. And you are all going to stay tuned because I got my own version of the Scientology story. It's a remake, if you will. And it will be coming out hopefully in a couple weeks. And over the next couple weeks, we're going to be deep diving in a little bit more. And we're also going to be simultaneously deep diving Eckankar, because once again, I had to clickbait you guys to get you to come watch Eckankar. Okay, I had to trick you. We're talking about Scientology. I tricked you. We're just talking about L Ron Hubbard knew Paul Twitchell and then a bunch of Paul Twitchell stuff. I think people are mad at me, but it's okay. You do what you got to do out here. But, you know, that's it for today. For L Ron Hubbard's birthday. Happy birthday to you. You call leader is full of poo. You know, think of a song and then sing it to him. Go off and do something that you love today and be thankful that you are not in a cult. No matter where you are, what you're doing, I hope that you have a fabulous, beautiful rest of your day. And I'm going to go spend several days now with my family as my little one is off March break. And I will see you guys all. I might have a short video out depending if I get it done. I'm not a lot lying though. I'm not really like into working on it this week. So very much depending. But then we are doing another stream at the end of the week in which we are going to be talking a little bit about Aleister Crowley. And then we are going to be reacting to some witches. So I will definitely see you all then. Take care. Mwah. Bye. And fuck you, Xenu.